What's up, everybody? Hello, Persona Management. Hello, Ryan Tennant. Hello, Devambient. Hello, Tyler. Hello, Smek. Thank you for joining me. Well, thank you, Ryan. It's lovely to have you here. I'm sorry your week has been dog shit, but hopefully we can make it a little better tonight. What's up, Gowdy? Hey, Joe! How the fuck are things in the IE right now, Joe? Can you breathe? Thank you, Tyler. I'm loving them too. They're a lot of fun. What's up, Deidre? Thank you for joining us again. Hey, Vegan Lumps. Hey, oh no. I'm seeing a lot of very familiar names. And I'm so happy. You guys are coming back for more. You love it. You love it. What's up, Alex? I could say the same thing to you, buddy. Hey, Cole. Thank you very much. I trimmed the beard to get the 5 o'clock shadow going just for the stream. Hey, Macy. Thank you for joining. Sylvie, thank you for joining. Love seeing the names from the Facebook group. The Facebook group is crazy. There's like so many people in there. Somebody shared a different, like, very popular streamers Facebook group who, like, is kind of controversial and kind of has dog shit takes sometimes. And Minion Death Commandos has more people in it, which I was, some shameful joy. I took some shameful joy in that. What's up, Tack? Thank you for joining. Smek, thank you. What's the leftist stash? Just like a Stalin stash, kind of? Or what's up, Elizabeth? What's up, Amy? This book, I'm not going to get into it just yet, but this book is, you don't know. You have no idea what this book is like. This book is it's very subversive. It subverts your expectations. Let's just say that. Hey, Annie, thank you. Thank you for the compliment on the shirt. Hey, Elizabeth. Hey, Amy. Hey, Melissa. Thank you so much for joining. What's up, Rat King? Yeah, the MDC group is very good. What's up, Golden Ratio? Did everybody watch the Dune trailer? Can we talk about the Dune trailer for a second? I thought it was good. I have some faith in this director and this cast is pretty amazing. I couldn't help but notice two things in the trailer. One of them was that you hear Paul say there's a crusade coming, which if you've read the novels, you know that what he's talking about is literally a jihad, a bloody jihad. I mean, crusade is jihad, kind of the same thing, but it's specifically called a jihad in the movie. Paul Atreides leads a jihad of the indigenous people of Arrakis across the universe, killing hundreds of millions of people. And it's very funny that they called it a crusade in the trailer. I think for like two reasons. Because if you called it a jihad, there's a jihad coming. Like, it would probably piss off more liberals than conservatives. Because the way he says it, you don't know that it's like his jihad. It's just he's like warning people there's a jihad coming. So it would probably get conservative butts in seats if they left it up like that. But I think a lot of liberals would be like, oh, wow, cool, scaremongering about, Islamofascism. Great. Good luck, dunk. The other thing that I noticed was the ultra serious, ultra self-serious Pink Floyd cover. I can't believe they did that shit. Whatever the name of that song is on Dark Side of the Moon, the title track, but it's not actually called Dark Side of the Moon. It's called like, you know, reprise or reprise or something like that. They did it. They did the fucking slow and somber cover of a pop hit. Fucking hate that. Yeah, there's a Dune trailer out. It's pretty good. The biggest thing I'm waiting for, what will be, I feel like, the biggest tell whether or not it's going to be a good Dune adaptation is how much voiceover there is. There has to be a ton of voiceover. There has to be voiceover from every character, because it's all about political machinations and like setting political traps and physical traps and that sort of thing from every perspective. So that has to be in there. Secondly, the weirding way. I have to see more of the weirding way to know whether it's good. I don't think they're going to use guns like in the David Lynch Dune, where you fire a gun that's voice activated using the weirding way. But I'm interested to see whether they represent that, or whether it's going to be like a whisper, and then you get a visual of a sonic force traveling toward the victim or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, that's enough chat of that. Let me see how people are doing in the chat. Yeah, plans within plans. Richard, feints within feints. The Lynch Dune is fun. It's really tight that Sting is in it. The Baron Harkonnen is like wonderfully grotesque. Excuse me. There's like a lot of sexual chemistry between Paul and Feyd-Rautha in it, which is cool. The guns are so dumb though. I like Jessica. I like the actress who played Jessica. I can't remember her name. It was fun. It was fine. What's up, Kirsten? Thank you for joining again. What's up, Hunter? Smek, yeah, conservatives like crusades too. Yeah, exactly. So putting a crusade in there was a way to placate the conservatives who do like crusades and the liberals who would see a crusade as a bad thing. Hey, Skanda, thank you. Thank you for joining. Hey, Chelsea. The slow, serious pop trailer has been going on for a decade now, at least a decade. I'm trying to remember like the first time I heard it, but it's like the modern equivalent of the nu metal edgy nursery rhyme thing. It's like, you know, Jonathan Davis creepily singing All Around the Mulberry Bush. It's the artistic equivalent of that. It's not good. I guess that song's called Pop Goes the Weasel, huh? What's up, Alex Koch? What's up, Maddie? Is that a different Maddie? It looks like a different profile pic. Thank you for joining. What's up, Kelsey? What's up, Conan Troutman? What's up, Chelsea B? I haven't seen the new trailer for the new Candyman. Say My Name? Really? That's the song they used? And it's like a reimagining of the song? I mean, that makes sense, at least, you know? You have to say Candyman's name, right, to conjure him. What's up, Turd Ferguson? Okay. What's up, Ryan Salisbury? Thank you for joining. I'm drinking Schilling Cider's Rosé Vacay, which sadly has been discontinued. Maybe it's just for the season. They might bring it back next summer. But it's really tasty. It's dry, but it's a very, very dry rosé, and you can still find it at a couple places. What's up, Genevieve? Thank you for joining. I see a ship in the harbor. It might be Palestinians. Gizi has found her new place, which is between the blackout curtain and the window. That's where she's been living for the past week. Okay, I think it's about time to get started. What do you guys say? I think it's a good shirt. It's not just good for the thumbnail. I don't get a lot of chances to wear shirts, you know. Like going grocery shopping and then doing a live stream is when I get to wear shirts. So yeah, I put this shirt back on for the stream. Okay, so tonight we are doing a selected readings from an Amazon exclusive book called My Antifa Lover, A Riot of the Heart by Jessica Stranger. A lot of people have already pointed out, you know, in the promos that I've done for this stream, that the cover art for this book is interesting, to say the least. One half of it, you get, you know, a sexy, maybe sexy is not the word, like sultry, but also like emotionally emburdened woman on the right half. And is she wearing a wedding ring? Is she wearing an engagement ring okay. And then in the other side, you get a white guy in a, like, what is it, digital camo hoodie, wearing a skull gator mask, and also a kafaya, the like black and white and gray plaid kafaya, some sort of I believe is a plate holder or a bulletproof vest of some kind, and holding like a large baton that looks like just the end of a mag light, of like a 2-foot long mag light. And a lot of people have pointed out what an interesting wardrobe this is. What an interesting getup this is. Tactical camo for one. The like death's head mask. Two things that Antifa are surely known for. And then a kafaya. So this is like a pro-Palestinian fascist is what we're looking at here, I think. Like someone who joined Hezbollah just to kill Jews. But I will say, as misleading as this photo is, as this cover art is, it's nothing. It's nothing compared to the content of this work. Okay, I've been informed that Hezbollah is Lebanese. Okay, the PLO then. I want to shout out Tyler Reed for sharing this content into the Facebook group. That's where I first saw it. So thank you, Tyler. I'm going to read the description of this book. A young congresswoman falls in love with a daring masked protester in Seattle, Washington. After encountering him at a non-violent burning down of a federal building, she can't tell what is hotter, the fire or her feelings developing for him. So when I first read that description, I was like, okay, this is like a Babylon Bee article, a long form Babylon Bee satire about the non-violent burning of a Trump supporter, right? People are like, they genuinely think this is like pro Antifa. This is like written by an Antifa. So the reviews in the Amazon review section for it are just wonderful. I will let you as the listener make your own judgment about this. This was it. So this is from Alexandria, our main character's point of view. This was it. The big day has finally come. Today was the hearing of new legislation in a Congress meeting. Everyone was going to be there, and some new members were also joining who just got elected this year. I just hope everything goes well, and there is no bad blood between anyone at the end of the meeting. Sounds normal so far. Peter, Jackson, Michael, and all the other fellow members were going to be there. We got Peter, Jackson, Michael, Jackson, Peter Jackson, and Michael Jackson. A new bill was going to be passed today, which has been under discussion for the past month. A new law was going to be passed, which was undertaking the issues of the divorce rate, increasing day by day in America. Hopefully this step helps in decreasing the rates of divorce and helping the upcoming generations form a better life. Okay, so we have here, I guess what's supposed to be our conservative foil to the Antifa lover. She is concentrating on increased rates of divorce, the decline in traditional marriage, and she's hoping to use government for the one thing that conservatives think it's good for, other than enriching themselves, making sure women won't get divorced from them. The divorce rates were increasing up to 80%, and this was nowhere a reliable source anymore for a safe and secure relationship. Anyways, I shrugged off all the thoughts in my brain and went into the meeting room after smoothing out my black skirt and sliding my hair down my face. Let this be a quick and easy meeting. ... I'm not a gender essentialist by any means. So far doesn't really sound like a woman writing this in my mind. I slid my hair down my face. The thing that women like to do and like to write about doing. I shrugged off all the thoughts in my brain and went into the meeting room. I took a hot iron and smoothed out my brain before entering the Congress meeting. Yeah, we did learn from McBee what divorce can drive a man to, which is to, assault a woman that looks like the judge that ruled over the divorce? The prose is very good, I agree. Regardless of the content, the prose is wonderful. The meeting went well. After 57 minutes of talking and declaring new ideas and topics, the meeting finally came to an end. Everything went okay, and new legislation was approved, which will enforce in decreasing the rates of the growing divorces in America. The divorces, which were mostly made by the husbands in the relationship, as per research. And so the new law enforced the husband to pay $1 million to his wife if he wants to divorce her. In this way, both the man and the woman will think twice in settling down, and the husband will have to be serious and responsible in the relationship instead of taking it as a joke. Just pause for reactions here. So we have here a congresswoman concerned with the future of traditional marriage, concerned with increasing divorce rates. And her solution is to fine men $1 million for causing divorces. What's up, Nico? Thank you for joining. This is like the feminist solution to a decline in traditional marriage, which is also, as we know, a feminist issue. This is like mind blowing. I don't know how to understand this. It's like, oh yeah, there's definitely a problem with declining white birth rates. Everybody on both sides agree that we need to preserve hope for white children. Therefore, I'm levying huge tax increases on white men who can't get erections. Like the only thing that makes sense is this is like conservative cuck fan fiction. It's like an issue that they genuinely care about, that a woman shares their concern, and then they're going to be punished for the thing they care about. She goes on, I agreed to this matter for the sake of upcoming generations and for personal reasons as well, which I didn't want to think about right now. Cool. Thank you very much, Jessica Strange. Okay, so cut forward to a press conference going on outside of the Congress House, which is how it's described throughout this novel. The Congress House, exterior, press conference. Huge number of protesters. Most of the boys had banners which said things like, quote, equal rights for men. Quote, women can be free, but men must pay $1 million to be free. Quote, I can leave someone whenever I want. Quote, feminists are screwed. I furrowed my eyebrows when I realized how men were extremely against this law. I was informed that this would happen, but not to this intensity. In head, it seemed like no big deal. If you don't want to be with someone, don't marry them. And when you do marry them, you shouldn't just leave them like you wanted a taste. You should be loyal to them. And all the boys protesting made me think that they were against this law because they wanted to screw whoever they liked, marry whoever they wanted, and leave the girl when she gets old and useless. My blood boiled when I thought about what happened to my sister. Passing this bill had a big contribution to what had happened to my sister, and I wasn't going to back on this law no matter what. The mic was passed on to another person in the crowd who wanted to ask a question. My eyes immediately noticed his piercing blue eyes and black cap. He had a dark green loose jacket on, and I swear even hiding behind that cap, his eyes didn't fail to catch my attention. Miss Alexandria, my question is directed to you. He started to speak, and as soon as his eyes landed on me, I somehow forgot about all of the crowd. It was like we were the only two people in the hall. His eyes had so much depth in them that I felt like I could never hide from his gaze, even if I tried. They were accusing, haunting, mesmerizing, and somehow I felt insecure under his gaze. Quote, would you have passed this bill if you ever a man? He accused me with his eyes more than his words, and my breath got caught in between my throat as his question settled in my mind. So, the Antifa lover in this story is literally a men's rights activist. The congresswoman in this story is a feminazi who wants to basically de facto outlaw divorce. I've been trying to make sense of this since I read it last night. Yeah, it's Antifa versus feminazi, except Antifa is a man going his own way, and the feminazi is a tradcath. Okay, Kelsey says it has to be a troll. I'm going to read it again. Smek wants me to read it again. I'll read the last. These are the important parts. Most of the boys, the protesters, had banners which said things like, quote, equal rights for men. Quote, women can be free, but men must pay $1 million to be free. Quote, feminists are screwed. And then again, our Antifa in the crowd with the deep blue eyes asks Alexandria directly, would you have passed this bill if you ever a man? So this is my theory. This is my hypothesis. Whoever designed the cover of this book, titled the book, and wrote the description for the book was going for a troll, or was going for clickbait, or was going for something that would get attention in whatever way. The person who actually wrote the book was probably hired on Fiverr and has no idea about American politics whatsoever. They have no idea what Antifa is. They have no idea what Congress is at all, or what a right-left dynamic looks like in this country. It's incredibly funny because everybody who's complaining about this book is like a right-wing maniac who hates Antifa for being a cucked soy boy or whatever. And in the book, the guy is literally like a valiant, strong, broad-shouldered men's rights activist with piercing blue eyes. He's like fucking Aryan. Would I have favored this legislation if I was a guy? My mind comprehended the question over and over again. I kept comprehending. I just understanded it and understanded it and understanded it over and over. And his determining eyes never left my face. I swallowed the air in my throat, and my eyes tried to hide from his. His gaze was the most intimidating thing I have ever seen in my life. Next question. The reporters moved to another person when I didn't answer, thinking I have dismissed the question like many others. But I didn't ignore it. I was thinking about it, and I realized that I have never thought of it like that before. So literally the guy is asked the feminazi the question, but what about me? Or, what about my dick? And the female congressperson, Alexandria Ochoa Cabrera, is like, wow, what if I were a guy? How would I feel? I never thought about it like that before. Wow. Another question was being asked by someone, but his eyes stayed glued to my face. I tried to avert my gaze and stare at the person currently asking a question, but my eyes kept diverting back to that particular stranger's face. He had a light smirk on his face, which I noticed the third time I averted my gaze back to him in the overloading crowd. There were many times I averted my gaze in this sequence of gaze aversions. It was the third time of the aversion that I noticed the smirk. He had a yeah da 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 da. Hope he never comes. Oh, and that damn devilish smirk made me hate him all the more. Hope he never comes to another rally again, or I'll have to slap that devilish smile of his off of his face myself. Okay. Chapter 2. It was all so frustrating. I sighed and looked in the mirror. A pale and somewhat sun-tinted face stared back at me, with her dark black eyes looking like they could kill with their looks if they wanted to. Her dark black eyes, like a doll's eyes. Beautiful. Her dark brown hair slipped down her shoulders in light waves, and collarbones were as visible as day. As visible as the day is visible. She seemed like a powerful yet insecure woman when you carefully looked into her eyes. And that powerful yet insecure woman was me. That's the only paragraph I wrote down from chapter 2. There's a new Twilight book? Melissa Robbins says, I can't believe she didn't say they were raven-colored eyes. I would have liked if she had said they were dark black eyes, the color of coal, like Frosty the Snowman's eyes. I think that would have been sexy. My hair slipped down my face like a quicksand album. Okay, chapter 3. We get a little more backstory on this bill that Alexandria Ochoa Cabrera is passing. The bill was passed by the Congress even with all of the protesters claiming to take it back. And the bill was currently under review of the Senate. If the Senate approved it, then nobody can stop this law from taking place. So I love this understanding of the three branches of government. Just, you know, the processes of American governance. The bill was passed by Congress, so it went in the lower house, which is called Congress, the Congress. Then it has to go up to the upper house, called the Senate. And then if the Senate approves the bill, then nobody can stop the law from taking place. And that's called a balance of power, folks. My inner voice told me to do something about it, to fight for the people and do what feels right. I had the power of speaking up, and I knew few people would also come on my side when I raised my voice against this act. But I was hesitant. I was scared of what could happen. The person who was leading this whole legislation was Benedict Wilbur. He wanted the police gone, and he was doing everything he can to make sure it happens. He was the head of the Congress House, the person with supreme power, and I was afraid to go against him. But ever since the bill was passed and given under the review of the Senate, my conscience didn't let me sleep at night. So she's obviously like rethinking, you know, the bill. She thinks it's bad now because what if I was a guy? I wouldn't like that very much. I wouldn't like gender racism against men if I were a man. This is the other thing that weirds me out about my theory about this book is she talks about Benedict Wilbur, who's I guess the Speaker of the House, but he's never called that. He's just called the leader of the Congress House. He wanted the police gone, and he was doing everything he can to make sure it happens. That's the only thing in here that's Antifa related. That's like actual other than like general protesting, but it's like obviously on behalf of men's rights. Wanting the police gone is the only thing that like actually adheres to a leftist ideology. Makes me wonder if that was maybe added by whoever, in my theory at least, ordered this book on Fiverr. After eating the food, so she's like talking about how she was eating some food, and now here, after eating the food, I decided to turn the TV off and read a book for a change. I went into my room and grabbed a romance book, which in normal circumstances I would never read. But these past few days have been far from normal, so I decided to give it a shot. I laid in my bed and opened the first page, I guess, of this romance book she had, in her room that she would never read. I was on page number 34 when I started to hear strange noises getting louder slowly. I closed the book and blinked a few times, thinking that I might be imagining things, but I still kept hearing them. I got up and sat on my bed. The sounds were becoming clearer and clearer, each passing second, making me more puzzled. As the noise became more clear, I realized they were voices of people, the voices you would hear from a crowd. I got up and opened the door to my balcony to look outside. It was currently 12:20 a.m. in the morning. What were people doing outside so late? Okay, I should say that she was in the woods, and the Antifa guy found her in the woods and like smirked at her some more, and then I think gave her his number. Was like, call me if you want to talk about how it's lonely to be a congresswoman. And so she has his number, but she didn't plan on calling him. I looked out and I saw a big crowd of people just a few feet away from my house. They were coming towards it, and my eyes widened when I realized they were protesters. I saw them holding banners and sticks, and some I even saw having guns in their hand. I ran back inside the house and closed the balcony door. My heart raced like it was about to explode, and I felt like I couldn't breathe. I knew the security was at the main gate, and they would probably call for backup, but ... Shit! It seemed like the end. It seemed like the crowd I saw at the rally. Shit! Is ... Is Corner leading them? Okay, so dude's name is Corner. That's the name he gave, not Connor. Corner. It's Corner. Corner. It's never explained. Yeah, Kent Dorner the Corner. Exactly, Tyler. That's like the closest to any explanation I can give. Sicko Fox says, I love to eat food and read book as I watch TV channel. What's up, Word Deuce? What's up, Jake Carr? What's up, Bobby Bartlett? Okay, shit is ... Is Corner leading them? He was one of the protesters of this law, and he was standing between them at the rally, too. Is he leading his pack and planning on killing me tonight because I didn't favor him in any way? No question mark. How dare he? And here I was thinking about calling him and ... Yes, I will fucking call him and let him know how much he has hurt me with his actions. Okay, so I feel like you guys have a good sample of the pros at this point, and I will let you in on some of the research I did for this episode. I was looking for an image of the book cover, and I found another YouTube account who had covered this book like yesterday, or maybe, yesterday. And I was like, all right, let's see what this person says. This person, I think their account is called The Fandom Menace. And he calls himself an author. And his criticism was that in the prose, the author starts sentences with the word and. So, for example, right here, I will fucking call him, period, and let him know how much he has hurt me with his actions. And that YouTuber had a real big problem with the fact that Jessica Strange started the sentence with the word and. It just flipping pisses him off. It bugs him to no end. And avoid authors, everybody who's thinking of writing anything out there, don't start a sentence with and, all right? Unless you want to piss off people like myself and the Fandom Menace. So in case you're not picking up on the fact that this person's a bad writer, I just wanted to clarify that they did start a sentence with the word and right here. I ran and stumbled towards my closet to grab the cardigan which had his number in it. I realized my hands were shaking, and a scream escaped my lips from terror when I heard the first rock being thrown at my window. With shaking hands, I took the piece of paper out and dialed his number. How dare he do this to me? I was just starting to trust him, and he was doing this to me? Tears fell from my eyes, and I put my ringing phone on my ear, waiting for him to pick up so I can say my final words to him. I love like this character who's like, they think they're gonna die, so they're like, I'm gonna fucking call that asshole and like die on the phone with, like, I'm gonna get my last complaint in. I kind of identify with that, actually. Like, I'd love to be able to like chew out the person responsible for my death, like as I'm dying, I guess. You know, I probably would think to do that before calling a loved one or something. Tears fell from my eyes, and I put my ringing phone on my ear, waiting for him to pick up so I could say my final words to him. He picked up on the 12th ring. Quote, hello? His voice seemed slacked and tired. Period. And I didn't hear any background noise like I was hearing from down the road. Quote, I fucking hate you, Corner Smith, I cried. You ruined my fucking life, and you don't even know it. I was trying to be better, trying to do the right thing, but, ... You never bothered to give me a chance, did you? I hope you die somewhere in a ditch. I hope no one ever loves you. You didn't even let me try. I cried and screamed and sobbed and stuttered on the phone and ignored his confused whats and groans. He didn't do me justice, and he would pay for it one day. I shut the phone and threw it on my bed. Just as I was about to back away further from the window currently being smashed with rocks, I heard the sound of a gunshot, and the next thing I knew, the whole glass door of my balcony shattered in pieces. The broken pieces flew towards me from the force of the shot, and I barely had enough time to cover myself with my arms. The pieces pierced the skin of my hands and arms, and I backed away till my back hit the wall behind me, and I slid down, giving up on everything. Maybe this was how I was supposed to die. This was the result of doing things that your conscience tells you not to do. I sat on the floor watching, unable to move, and watched the devastating scene in front of me. I don't know how much time passed, but I sat there. Hearing the sounds of sirens, noises of people shouting, I wouldn't be surprised if they set the house on fire right now. My eyes closed and opened as blood dripped down my arms and hands. I tried to take the shards out, but I couldn't bring myself to inflict any more pain. I just hoped that a bullet would come flying in and hit me in my chest, so all of this agony is finally over. After a few more minutes, I heard the sound of a door opening nearby with my eyes closed. My eyelids felt too heavy to open them, and I felt like sleeping. I heard footsteps approaching near me, and then an alarming voice say, "Alexandria?" I was too tired to answer yes to the voice. "Alexandria!" I felt someone gently grab my face. Felt someone tenderly grab my noggin and yell my name way too close to my ear. I wanted to sleep right now and not be yelled at. I squinted my heavy eyelids open and tried to frown angrily at the face to show my distress. I thought I was dreaming this too. It was Corner. His face was so close and his eyes were so deep that I could drown in them. I still managed to frown and pout and say, "Can't you see I'm trying to sleep?" I slurred, tired out of my wits. I saw him smile with sadness in his eyes before I closed my eyes again. "Corner," I murmured with my eyes closed, praying he'd hear me. "Yes," I heard him reply quickly. His voice seemed very close to my face. "Tell them I was against the law. ... I said what had been disturbing my mind for the month. Period. And I didn't force myself to stay awake long enough to hear his reply. Maybe the message was meant more for him than the protesters down by the road. But either way, my conscience was finally at peace admitting the truth to him. ... Quote, "I want to ask you one thing," I told him. It was almost nighttime and we were eating... Okay. That's I jumped forward. Okay. So how do we feel about this? How do we feel about men's rights Antifa shooting at a congressperson for passing a pro-marriage a pro-marriage piece of legislation? Like, Antifa hasn't shot at any congresspeople as far as I know. I mean, I guess that one guy shot, what, Steve Scalise or whatever? I don't know if that guy was Antifa. Like, imagine if Antifa shot at the author of every bad piece of legislation. Yeah, Tyler Kurth says direct action works. All they had to do was like send Alexandria a stud in a fucking death's head gator. What do they call it? Yeah, gator. And like stare at her with his blue eyes, and she's like, "Shit, yeah, hell yeah, I'll help usher in the Fourth Reich." I'm also laughing at Corner. I don't know why his name is Corner. Like, he doesn't even have his personality doesn't have the aspects of a Corner. Like, he's not sharp with her. He's not pointy or prickly or anything like that. Like, if anything, maybe it's because he's like square. It's because he's traditional and he's got a solid foundation. Amy Satterfield says, "This book accurately reflects my reality." I don't know what y'all are talking about. Okay, well, yeah. Fair enough. Can't speak to everybody's experience. Thank you. Thank you, Annie. Appreciate that. I've never been part of a book club. Until now, I guess. This is like kind of a book club, right? I love it. Okay, so what happened? I'm jumping forward. She wakes up in a hospital room and she's like mad at Corner. Corner is there with her security, but the security is like, actually, ma'am, he took charge like a real man, and he came and he's the one who calmed the protesters down, and he's the one who rescued you. Um, and so she doesn't want to go home because the broken window, and she wants to stay at a hotel, but Corner offers his house to her to stay at, and she's like, okay, yeah, that's tight. She's been lonely, like that's been part of this story, and she is sensing some loneliness in him as well. She agrees to stay at his house, and she sleeps in his bed for like 14 hours, and then he's making breakfast, and he makes her omelets, and they laugh about how good the food is that he makes her. She says like, oh, I ate the food, and I said, this is good, and Connor laughed. And then Connor said, I like having you here with a mouthful of food, and I laughed, and we laughed together. Okay. Quote, I wanted to ask you one thing, I told him. It was almost nighttime, and we were eating grapes while sitting beside the window on cushioned chairs which were made in the shape of giant hands. It was nighttime, and we were eating grapes and sitting on chairs that were shaped like the egg chairs in the movie Men in Black, where Will Smith is trying to take the test awkwardly but is unable to because his pencil keeps breaking and he doesn't have a desk to write on. We were sitting on cushioned chairs shaped like giant hands, and there was a large nose on the wall where if you reached up into it through the green goop, you could pull out an orange flag. Corner kept asking me, if you were a man, what would you do? What would you do? Yeah, I wanted to ask you one thing. Blah, blah, blah. Shoot, he said, popping another grape in his mouth. How did you stop the protesters from attacking my house? From what I remember, they weren't going to stop at any costs until they had my blood. I asked him the question which was running through my mind all day, which is the question we just heard. Quote, you didn't hear? He asked, sitting up straight. No, I replied. I told them that you were actually in favor of them and were going to help eliminate the law. I used a microphone and convinced them that you were on our side, and they believed me since I'm a protester myself, he slowly explained. Like, the least the person advertising this book could have done was just, like, word search or term search protester and just replace it with Antifa. Because the word Antifa is never in here. Yeah, I'm sorry. There's zero smut in this one, Kirsten. I am a protester too, and they listened to me. But how did you know I was going to do that? She means support the law. I asked, or, go against the law. I asked, baffled. I didn't, he simply stated. I gave him an "are you for real" look, and he decided to clarify further. I had to stop them in some way, Alexandria. I knew you were up there, and I would have done anything to save you. He spoke in a clear tone. My heart felt so weird at that revelation that someone actually cared for me that much. Quote, are you going to speak up about the bill at the conference happening on Monday? He asked after some time. I'm thinking about it, I said honestly. There was no reason to hide anything from him now. I think you should if your inner voice tells you to. His face in dim light seemed more serious, and it was hard not to listen to him. I will help you in any way I can. I just don't want our homeland to feel like an unsafe place, he explained with sadness and depth in his voice. So, once again, something that every Antifa cares about, the sanctity and security of the homeland. I would just hate for these draconian rules and legislations to change the face of the fatherland. I'm gonna get a cider. I'll be right back. It's got a cute elephant on it. There we go. Strongbow is a good, solid cider. That's a good go-to. It just doesn't have a lot of alcoholic content. This is 6.9%, which is the nice percent. All right, I offer the listener one sip. There you go. What's up, Alexandria? Were your ears ringing? Is that why you joined the chat? What's up, Benjamin? Thank you for joining. There's a Strongbow in Quebec that's 10%. That's fucking tight. The Bad Apple, the Two Towns Bad Apple is 10.9%. That's a really good one. I've had mead before. It's pretty good. It's pretty sweet. I prefer a drier drink. Sorry to anyone who might be sober for drinking on the stream. That's probably triggering for some people, but it's, I don't know. It's kind of how I cope. It's kind of my cope. Have not finished the book. Thank you, Gabriel, for joining. Okay. Back to the book. I nodded because I agreed with him. Yeah, we have to protect our homeland. Yeah, yes, fellow leftist, we have to protect our homeland. I nodded because I agreed with him. I know, I was never in favor of it, so meaning the legislation that would charge men $1 million to get a divorce in order to preserve traditional marriage. I know, I was never in favor of it since the beginning, but I never said anything. I think it's time I let my voice be heard. Maybe it'll make a difference. But I was hurt and broken down, but I have never felt more powerful now that I was finally listening to my inner voice. I didn't care if it made a difference or not, but I knew my conscience would be at peace once I do the things that I was meant to do and fight for people's rights. And this time, I also had an impeccable gentleman with me. What could possibly go wrong? This is like mind-blowing. I am like the guy on the cover of the Maxwell tape rapping, sitting in my chair with my hair blown back, my back walls blown back. The RCA dog is being strangled by its leash. Since I had an impeccable gentleman Antifa here with me who was going to help me destroy the anti-male legislation I had foolishly helped pass because I was too demure. Okay, so Mr. Wilbur, what was his first name? Benedict Wilbur, right? Who's like in charge of the House. He's like her boss, not her boss, but he's like, the ranking congressperson. Invited her to a meeting. She had caught Corner confronting Benedict Wilbur in his office and was like, "What's going on?" And Corner was like, "Nothing, let's get out of here," or whatever. Benedict Wilbur calls her into his office for some tea. And he's like, I don't know, like playing coy with her, using cryptic phrases and things like that. And she says, "I'm not here to play games, Mr. Wilbur. I said when I saw him slowly pouring tea in his cup from the teapot. I was here to discuss some things, not to take fucking tea with him." I saw him chuckle at my words, keeping his eyes on his stupid task. That chuckle alarmingly resembled a chuckle I've seen somewhere else before. It was a familiar chuckle. The chuckle rang a bell. I saw the chuckle, and it rang a bell. I couldn't put my finger on it. His eyes were dark and deadly, and there was nothing but cruelty in them. "Why are you in such a hurry, Miss Preston?" "I know why you're here," he said, putting one cup in front of me and taking his own cup in his hand and taking a sip of his goddamn tea. "If you know why I'm here, then I suggest you get to the point. I have somewhere else to be," I required. I like that. I like that verb. Instead of I suggested, I intoned, I related. I required. He gave a dry laugh yet again, making my blood boil. Quote, "I can see he has some unique taste. Not everyone would want to get that close to you. You're a feisty little beast," he said, taking yet another sip of his tea. I wished from the bottom of my heart that it was poisonous, so he would die right now. I sprinted to my feet at his last reply. I got a running start to my feet at his last reply. I was not here to have some fucking tea time with him. "If you're going to play games, then I should leave. I don't have time for such stupidity," I said, turning around. And I'm going to pause to look at the chat to see if anybody has guessed what is about to happen. Okay, no guesses so far. Benedict Wilbur says, "You have plenty of time being played by my son," he said from behind. I stopped in my tracks and contemplated his words. Being played by his son? What the hell? I turned around and stared at him to elaborate this stupid idiosyncrasy. "I've had enough with your idiosyncrasies. Tell it plain. Stop using gesticulations to convey your meanings. Stop tapping on the table. Tell me plainly." You see, Corner, ... I don't even know how he came up with that stupid name. ... is actually named Chris. Fuck, it is Chris Dorner, huh? That's gotta be it. Can't corner the Chris Dorner. Corner is actually named Chris, and he has succeeded in playing more games with you than I ever have, he said, coming around his table. My heart beat rapidly at the mention of Corner's name. My Corner. The Corner which just confessed that he needed me in his life. This was unbelievable. This was the stupidest thing I have ever heard. I thought you were crazy, but now I believe that you really are, I said, ready to turn back around because I was not going to stand there and be his little puppet that believed everything he says. Quote, I knew you weren't going to believe this. That's why I brought proof, he said, and took out a file from under a folder and set it on the table. My feet automatically came closer to the table, and my hands flipped open the file. This can't be true. This must be some type of scam. I saw his birth certificate, and it stated that he was Chris Wilbur, son of Benedict Wilbur. My eyes burned at the sight in front of me. This can't be true. He is Corner Smith, I said. So he pulled out Chris Wilbur's birth certificate. It was like, see? Like, I maintain that this is like, whoever wrote this is either like exceedingly dumb or just not American. Because if your birth certificate doesn't have a photo from you when you're, 24. Ryan Tennant asks, he just had his kid's birth certificate in his office, and it's like, no, this is a criminal genius. He's sent away for a copy of his child's birth certificate 3 months ago, knowing that he might need it in the future. I don't believe that Corner Smith is really your son. Prove it. That's when Benedict Wilbur reached into a cupboard behind his desk and pulled out a bronzed shoe. The bronzed shoe was set into a plaque that read, Chris Wilbur. And I was like, no! That's impossible! Jake Carr says, this was, quote, my Bigfoot lover, but control F with protester. Yeah, and then they should have control F'd it with Antifa. He smirked, and that smirked resembled Corner's. My eyes started to sting. No! He also made up a fake surname, meaning Smith. Clever boy, he applauded. Wow, he only had to make up one name, He could have been like a Cher, He could have been like a Madonna or something, but he made up with two names? All right, clever boy. He took out a card and threw it on the table beside the file. Is this your boy Corner? It was the identity card of Chris Wilbur. It was the North American identity card. It was the one world government identity card that we have been required to carry since Obama was in office, with his picture showing clearly on it. My tears dropped from my eyes, and my heart lost all of the warmth that it had for my fake Corner. This was the end. ... I think there's more. I just didn't put it in this doc. There's more, but it sucks. Yeah, okay, I got it here. Okay, so at the beginning of this book, there's like a flash forward prologue thing that is Alexandria inside of a burning building. And she's like, this was the end. I wish I could have just told Corner that I loved him. Um, and all of this that we've been reading has been leading up to that moment. She, after learning this information, she's refused Corner's advances for like months. He's been calling her, and she hasn't been answering. And even her like bodyguard, security guard, is like, "Please, ma'am, just talk to him." But she refuses because he broke her heart. And then she gets told that there's a special meeting she has to go to, and it's at a building. And then she gets knocked out by a couple guys tied to a chair, and the building is set on fire. Corner has been stalking her and ends up being able to rescue her. It was the end of November. Chris and I were walking to our favorite spot in the woods beside the lake. It has been 2 months since we've officially been together. After the fire incident was investigated, we found out that Chris's father was behind everything. He made up a plan and threatened my secretary at gunpoint to give me false information about the meeting in that isolated building. 2 of his men were in charge of starting the fire, and 2 others locked me up in the room. Everything would have been executed perfectly if Chris hadn't saved me. He got me out of the fire and reported against his father. After he was proven guilty, Benedict Wilbur was fired from the seat of Congress as punishment. It's good. I mean, another way you know that this thing wasn't written by somebody who's like politically active or politically aware is that a congressperson, actually received punishment for trying to set a woman on fire. Punishment in the form of being fired, ironically, from his seat in Congress, which is how we punish politicians. We fire them from their held seat. Chris and I remained together and got to know a lot more about each other after his true identity was revealed. I told him I liked Chris much more than Corner, and he was quite happy about that. Mrs. Wilbur was actually a really nice lady, and most of my time was spent with her as well. And Chris's little brother felt like my own brother. We haven't met any of these people, and but both of our families met each other, and there were instant likeness and love, which I was super happy about. Except for Wilbur, he still hated me, and my feelings were mutual. So this is like the ending of the movie where the principal gets owned really hard, like made fun of or something, gets chastised by the superintendent or something. And so they have to like sit there with their like arms folded. Except in this case, the guy was trying to murder Alexandria by burning her to death. But he's like frickin', congresswomen. Stupid ass pro-male congresswomen. The bill was disapproved by the Senate after review, and the Congress didn't try to initiate it again. What was done was done. So she and Chris are walking, and Chris says, "Looking straight into my eyes," he said, "I wanted to ask you something too." Yes, I nodded my head for him to continue. He unwrapped his arms around me and moved 2 steps back. I stared at him in confusion. "Close your eyes," he said. "Chris?" I tilted my head and asked him with my eyes as to what he was doing. That's how you know it's like an intelligent sentence, is when people say "as to." I asked him with my eyes as to what he had planned on doing. "Trust me," he spoke, and I could see the nervous glint in his eyes. I sighed and closed my eyes. This better not be a scare prank or something. She closes her eyes, and then when she opens them, his face turns into Linda Blair up really close, and there's like a loud, like, screaming noise. I heard a few ruffles of the grass like he was moving around, and then silence prevailed until he spoke again. "You can open them now," he said with a trembling voice, and I opened them. He was bowed down on one knee with a black box in his hand. My heart jumped and I felt lightheaded. Was this truly happening? And then they get married. I didn't save any more of the prose from that. But they got married. Vegan Lumps says, and then they finally fucked for the first time. They did not fuck throughout this whole story. I feel like that's important to say. There's no sex. I think they might have kissed. Maybe. I can't remember. But now that they're married, they can fuck. The polite way, which is off the page. Happens off the page. There is not any sex whatsoever. No. The most romantic thing is she talks about how quirky they are, where they watch animal documentaries on the TV but mute the sound so that they can pretend they know what facts are being like described about the animals on screen, which is kind of like a fun game, I guess, but it's described very, very stiltedly and boringly. And the only actual examples of this you get is she says that they were watching one of these documentaries and the tiger broke both its legs after running. And she said that the tiger tripped and that's why it broke its legs. And he said, what was his excuse? What was his reasoning? I don't know. They got into an argument over it. He said that somebody had to have like made the tiger trip on purpose because animals don't trip, only humans trip. This is like clickbait shit. It's like people are asking in the chat like what was the point of this? Why did anybody? I mean, the point of this was that it was extremely easy to write, like either via Craigslist or Fiverr. Somebody had this book written and they had an idea in mind. This is my theory. If you're just joining us, this is my theory. That somebody had in mind, a romance about an Antifa and a congresswoman, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. That was one of the stipulations. Her name had to be Alexandria. The other stipulation was they attack her house. They fire a gun at her house or whatever. And then possibly the third stipulation was her like congressional leader wanted to defund the police. Because those are the only three things that relate whatsoever to our modern understanding of the left and the right, of Antifa and of, mainstream politicians. Everything else was written by somebody who just has no idea what Antifa is, has no idea what like right and left politics are. They were just like, oh, this guy is a protester. He is protesting legislation that a woman has tried to pass. And they filled in the blanks and were like, oh, she wants to punish men for divorce. And the men object to that. Antifa objects to that. Because they're in favor of men's rights. But it's like, it's weird that it stumbles upon the men's rights thing, because that is such a force in like grievance politics now. How does it stumble upon that part of it while being totally ignorant of the rest of the political landscape? So maybe whoever wrote that brought that specific, that's what they understand politics to be, which is like, men fighting against divorce court lawyers or feminist judges like our pal McBee, elucidated. That's the only real explanation you can give as to why you would write a book about My Antifa Lover, and the Antifa Lover is a men's rights guy. And they're going to shoot a female congressperson over passing like punitive legislation against men. But again, I don't think like a sex scene or romance or romance in a general term was part of this, but I think it was just clickbait. Well, I'm going to write, and it's an Antifa book. And of course, like, we're covering it here, right here. Other people caught wind of this. Obviously I think it went probably a little viral on Reddit, and in other left-wing spaces. So how many people bought it though? Like, I bought it. How many other people bought it? It was cheap. It wasn't nearly as expensive as the McBee book. I was going to read one of the reviews because it's pretty funny, but I'll just post it on Twitter. It's from somebody who's like fantasizing about, without having read the story at all. It's about somebody fantasizing about, Alexandria breaking up with her soy boy Antifa Lover because when they got home, she saw that he had painted nails and long nails, and a little penis, and he had really good makeup on, and he was a girl, and so he couldn't get an erection or something because of all the soy. So she left, and when she was leaving, she ran smack dab into Marine Todd, who offered to escort her to his car, and she discovered that she actually liked a real man, and they went home and fucked all night until the sun rose, and she became pregnant with his child. And it's just, the only reason I bring that up is because the description of this story is like I said, it's like Babylon Bee level right-wing satire. Oh, they met at a peaceful burning building protest, right? So it brought out like all the right-wing people who can't discern satire, who are so ultra literal they can't tell when a story is pitched at them, down the center, high and a little away. And it reminds me of when we covered the it was Captain Marvel. I don't know. The actress who plays Captain Marvel had said something about diversity in the past, diversity of actors and actresses. So when she became Captain Marvel, somebody started a fake petition that Captain Marvel be replaced by a black trans woman of color who is a lesbian, and also poor and disadvantaged or whatever. Just obvious satire, obvious right-wing, just really mad satire. And the comment section on that petition was filled with right-wing people who didn't understand that the satire was meant for them. And it was filled with this is what she gets. She wanted more representation. Well, look here, another leftist is telling her that she needs to give up her job for a black trans woman. So this is what happens. More of the left eating the left. And that's just kind of what this comment section was. It was just right-wing dummies not understanding a product that was pitched for them to laugh at, and just still getting mad about it. You can get a hard copy of this. I think maybe I'll have Annie give me a hard copy of this. Hold on, guys. Look at what Annie got me. Friend of the show, Panty Antics. Look what I have now. A hard copy of Gent's Let's Talk About Feminist. This is beautiful. I love like you can actually see the stretched out photos of the bartender who like flipped him off in here. It's beautiful. Okay, well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. If you have any more thoughts or comments about this, feel free to tweet at me at Flieldy on Twitter, FLIELDY, or at Minion Death Cult. Thank you so much for joining. It was a lot of fun. If I can think of something else to do next week, you bet your butt I'll do it. Love all you folks, and thanks for tuning in and just generally supporting the show. Love you guys.